Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. For those who are based here in the States, let me just close some of my windows. Awesome. Happy Friday and welcome to those who are new to the group. I know a lot of you has been seeing me in podcasts and other Facebook groups, and I'm so grateful that you are curious and that you are here to really improve ourselves from a health and mindset standpoint. So for those who are new, I'm Dr. Patricia. I'm an integrative MD, which means I combine East and West medicine and all the fun stuff so we can get to the root cause, not just minimize the symptoms, and get you from survival to okay to really thriving, because it's possible. So today our mini master class is about our weight. It's about how a lot of women, including me, have this relationship with food, our body, and our weight that may not feel as good as we want it. And a lot of us are emotional eaters. Not that I'm saying that's bad, because to eat is really to pacify the body. It's literally a need, right? To nourish not just the body, but the soul. No, it's such a sensorial, full sensorial experience. So I'm not saying emotional eating in a negative way, but it can go to that spectrum, which we will talk about later. I also want to talk about top three things that can get us out of a pattern of self-sabotage that will reflect feeling not confident in our weight, in our body. Three ways to use emotional eating in a way that really validates what we're feeling, to really sit with it and feel the feelings rather than drown the feelings and make us gain weight and make us feel unhealthy with our blood pressure, with our sugar, with our arthritis, if there's too much weight pounding on our joints. A lot of you who came in were also asking about, overeating, stress, not able to lose weight. So that's why I want to focus on this. And it's near and dear to me because growing up, I wasn't really the skinny type. No, my body frame is very like medium build, even as a child, even as pre-pubertal teenage years. And so seeing how the images were in the beauty magazines and whatnot didn't feel like who I was. And there was a disconnect between beauty and what was out there. And I heard this narrative a lot. Like I hear a lot of women embodiment leaders, body positivity, who talks about all these things. And yet it never really landed here, even though I was conscious of that concept that I see this, it's not me. Okay, I get it. But what really shifted for me was one time that now those body positive leaders were absolutely true is and to me, I think it was because I was just bombarded with these images. When I was traveling in one of the beaches in the Philippines, they had billboards. Actually, it was more of like a wood board and had local indigenous people who were beautiful, as dark or even darker than my skin. They weren't long and lean Caucasian looking people, or like hybrid of what we call mestizas, meaning half Caucasian, half Filipino. So they had like this different beauty too. But these were very indigenous looking, dark skin, very athletic body. And when I saw that for the first time, it was like, that's that looks like me and it's beautiful, no? And that really kind of linked for me that that is truly beautiful. So what I'm trying to say here is I am with a lot of women like you who had this story or narrative that there was almost like a lack of self-acceptance or lack of awareness that my beauty standard is beautiful. It may not be the common or the popular beauty standard. And after that, I went through this like phase of, I tried all the diets in the world. I was dieting since I was in high school, actually grade school. And I tried everything, literally. I've tried, high protein, keto, South Beach. My dad even sponsored me having like chef cook meals of South Beach diet. What else? The 3-day diet, the name it, I did it. Name it, I did it. And so that's one tip I have. That's the first tip, is that be curious. Be curious into getting to know what your body responds to, what kind of food your body actually aligns with. And for me, I landed with whole foods plant-based. That feels good for my soul. That feels good for my values. That feels good for my belly. And it also reflected on my weight. I went from a size almost 16, and today I'm wearing a size 2. The last month and a half, I dropped like 15 to 18 pounds. So I'm just going to share a slide now on um, how heavy I got. I hope you're seeing my slide. So this was me, what was this? 2009. This was the peak, the absolute peak of my stress. And to say that I was emotionally eating is absolutely true. And I was eating foods to regulate my nervous system from the stress of being, and I was in New York. This is the New York Library, studying, doing shifts in the hospital there. And to say that I was emotional eating is an understatement. And I wasn't really aware of how much I did that until I was able to like really feel my feelings, if that makes sense. And then, my hormones were absolutely everywhere. I felt unbalanced. And I felt like I didn't really have time to be healthy because I was, doing all these things so I can practice here in the United States, all the exams, all the training, all the clinicals, all the things. So this was my path before. Emotional eating, imbalance, felt like, oh, just my PMS, my skin, and like that belief I didn't have the time. So that's my second tip, is that what belief systems do you have that is getting in the way of you having the best weight that reflects who you really are? what are the belief systems that is making you stay in almost like resistance mode and addiction mode versus, again, that curiosity. So think of resistance as like this, like leash. And you're tugging that leash, your own leash, like, no, 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 we don't go there. Certain belief patterns that I see. So with me, I didn't have the time. I didn't have the time to prepare my meals. I didn't have the time to exercise because I was so busy. That was my belief. Other people's belief is, well, it's my genes. My genes, my mom was like this, and therefore my genes are also operating in that way. Other belief system is that, well, I think living a life here on earth is meant for us to enjoy. And eating a certain way that people say will make me lose weight is not enjoyable. So a belief that certain healthy foods are not enjoyable. And so my question for you that I want you to really reflect on, sit with, and maybe write it down. What belief do you need to adopt, adopt, in order for you to cut those resistance, excuses, and reasons to get into curiosity mode so you can be in alignment of what your body truly wants and needs? What do you need to adopt so that you can cut the cords of resistance towards you truly listening to what your body needs? So I want you to challenge those beliefs. So when I started to challenge my belief of no time, I really don't have the time? And then this is what our brain does, right? We look for evidence. And I asked myself, are there not other doctors or other people who have the same work schedule? Are there other people like me who can still have time, who are still doing the meal prep? And the simple answer is yes. So whatever belief that you have, so food, like it's that Whole Foods plant-based is just like doesn't seem enjoyable. I still want to have my eggs, bacon, processed food, which is categorized cancerous by American Cancer Society, and still you want to stay in resistance versus cutting the cord in full alignment of what your body really needs. Because if you're completely aware and you know how to really listen to what your body needs and feels good with, that's it. Maybe you don't even need the third step. Because if you're able to really give your chance, if you give yourself the chance to listen to your body, you will feel phenomenal. And so when I broke these belief systems that eating a certain way was not enjoyable and fun, and actually became curious and tried it, I never went back. Most of the people who goes into a healthy habit, a healthy way of living and eating, tends to not go back. And I hear, and recently I just went to Chicago and met a lot of relatives and whatnot. And some of the belief system are like, you're gonna die anyway, why suffer? And I'm like, why do people believe that this way of being or eating is suffering? And what people don't realize, or some people just don't have the ears, is this way of living that I discovered, and it might be different for you, is nowhere near suffering. So when you shift that, when you can reframe like eating healthy, eating whole foods, eating medicinal foods, it's gonna make you feel so confident and effortlessly lose the weight. I went from, like I said, that size 14, 16 to a size 4 within a 4-month frame time without even really trying. My cousins know this. Of course, my family knows this. Like I shifted immediately. And what's funny was the heart and meaning. So this is the third tip. First tip is curiosity. Second tip is being aware of what your belief systems are and finding out evidence in the world to contradict that belief system to help you go into alignment versus resistance to your thriving best. The third is, this was the reason for me to like even be more curious and having a different lifestyle. Emotionally, I was just feeling so dark. It was just so painful. I didn't even mean to lose weight. I just want to feel good. I just wanted to just almost like do that. I was angry. I was depressed. I was lashing out. I was so angry with many things. And I needed a new way of being. And you know how synchronicity works. And I was done in the story of victimhood. I was done blaming me not having time. I was done blaming that person for making me feel angry. I was done saying the same story in my head. And I was getting married at that time. And I knew I didn't want to get married in that way of being. My partner, my husband, deserved a better partner. And how synchronicity unfolds. So the third step is, where in your life are you still playing a victim and not in complete ownership? So that you can take radical responsibility for how you're feeling with your weight and your body. So that when you don't have anything else to blame, you can really feel all the feelings. You can really surrender and ask for guidance and have the listening ears that the answer will arrive into what lifestyle, into what diet, into what movement feels good to you, into who's your mentor now. And that moment when I was just, I'm done with this, I surrendered. I was done with victimhood, survivorhood, and I really wanted to leap. Ironically, literally within a week or two, I was introduced to my mentors who were eating a certain way, who were moving a certain way, who were thinking a certain way, and was just so expansive. And I just started to drop the weight. So my question for you is, what does feeling of full radical accountability feels like? Who can support you? And what does it mean for you to shift right now? What does it mean to stop blaming? How can you start feeling open, curious, and expanding your belief system? So not necessarily a very strategic way, or like eat this supplement, that test this hormone. I can do all that. That is honestly the easiest thing for me to do. And if you're interested to do that, that's someone to check out all the functional medicine tests, the hormonal tests, your nutrition, your microbiome. I love doing that. I think it's foundational. But it really makes it lasting, lifetime, and easy. If you really peel out all those layers, and then you technically don't need that motivation anymore because you've opened this. You became more conscious, you became more embodied. And so if you need more support, if this is landing with you, and if this is in alignment with you about how to achieve your dream body, to achieve feeling comfortable in your own skin, and have the confidence that cellularly, ooh, my circulatory system is flowing, it's not obstructed, I don't have high cholesterol, my heart is beating and fluidly. And I say that because some diets are like high protein, and when they say protein, it's all meat. I wonder how their kidney health and their heart health is doing. True health does not compromise anything. So if you're ready to expand your belief system, be curious in a way of being, a new way of being, and to be supported, I am here. Drop your comments down below into what was the most helpful take home. Drop in the comments below, #replay if you're watching it on replay, and maybe ask other questions about weight, food, confidence, emotional eating below in the comments, or just give me some feedback. You know, my energy is also like strengthened and more energized the more you interact with me. And I appreciate you being here again. I'm Dr. Patricia, and I thank you for watching, and I really appreciate you being inside of the group. It's a Friday. I hope you have a restorative Friday.